What's going on, beautiful people? Daniel Mediar here. Today, we're going to help our brother who is in pain. He's going through divorce, basically went through divorce, and his finances went downhill, mental health, he gained weight, and he said that his life collapsed. So I'm going to read the story, and then I'm going to jump into the story and give him a couple cents here and there to help him regain his strength. But before I start, for all my services, visit my website, dmprotrainer.com. You can book a single consultation. You can also book or purchase your coaching program. Also, if you're looking for a high quality beef that is produced in America, in Utah and Texas, American beef, grass-fed, grass-finished, go to dmbeef.com. Amazing prices, $9.99 a pound for the box of mix of different states and also some ground beef. So, by that being said, I am going to start reading the email and let's see what our brother is up to. So the email starts. It says, I am writing this email with shaking hands and knot in my chest because I honestly do not know where else to turn. I have rewritten these first lines a dozen of times, trying to sound strong, trying to sound like I have control, but the truth is I don't. I'm broken, exhausted, and scared of the man I have become. This is not a confident message from someone who has it all together. This is a ask for help from someone who feels like he is drowning and finally decided to reach for a hand. A year ago, my life collapsed. My wife left me after years of marriage, arguments, and quiet resentment that I didn't want to admit was there. She walked out the door and took the whole family with her. The house became silent overnight. No laughter from the kids, no noise in the mornings, no sense of purpose when I wake up. Just empty rooms and a bed that felt too big. I remember sitting on the edge of it. The first night she was gone, staring at the floor, realizing that everything I thought my life was built on had vanished. So here we see that, he's in a lot of pain. His wife left him, his reality shattered because he was used to the family life. He didn't really say the reason why, because we could also tap into why did she leave. But it looks like they had a lot of arguments, which means that he was probably getting too emotional and he didn't know the art of indifference, and he didn't let the woman go through her emotions pretty much and deliver the basic needs to the woman, which is to be heard and understood, of course. But he was jumping into her vibe and he was arguing with her back and forth. The divorce was brutal, emotionally, financially, spiritually. I lost a large part of my savings just trying to keep things civil and fair. Lawyers, settlements, debts I never expected. Money that I have worked for years to build disappeared in months. I know money is not everything, but when you are already broken and then you see your bank account draining, it feels like another piece of you is being taken away. Well, that's true. That's your entire empire, That's your lifetime of work, of results that is pretty much being taken away from you. So this is definitely tough for every man, seeing how his wife, kids, and the money is leaving him. And that eventually turned into binge eating and gaining all the weight. But worse than the money was losing my children. I used to see them every day. I made their breakfast, drove them to the school, helped with homework, tucked them into bed. Now I see them on scheduled days, watching the clock, knowing every minute is borrowed. When they leave, the silence comes back, heavier each time. I try to be strong in front of them, to smile and joke, but when the door closes behind them, I often just sit and cry like a man who doesn't recognize his own life anymore. That pain broke something in me. I get it, but the thing is, every single pain will sharpen you as a knife. You're going to become more, I would say, heartless, more emotionless. Each time you experience a tremendous pain, you're going to develop a thicker skin. So this pain, I want you to know, is not going to last forever. It's going to be the brutal one to come back from because you lost money, children, wife, pretty much your whole life as you knew it. But you're going to become a lot stronger man after this. You're going to become more resilient to the emotional pain. I fell into a depression I didn't even realize was happening at first. I stopped caring about routines, stopped cooking meals, stopped going outside unless I had to. Food became my comfort, my escape, my distraction. At night, when the thoughts got too loud, I ate. When I felt lonely, I ate. When I felt angry, ashamed, or empty, I ate. It was the only thing that gave me a moment of relief, even though deep down I knew I was slowly killing myself. So what you are doing is you are searching for the dopamine, because the dopamine is really the hormone that's going to make you feel excited. It's going to make you feel joyful. And there was a little bit of piece of excitement that you could have gotten in this part of your life. So that's why we're constantly turning to food. And now we got tons of processed foods that are designed to trigger a huge dopamine release. Like, for example, Doritos has a saying or a slogan, you can't only have one. They exactly know why they said it, because they have literally groups of scientists working on the flavors and the chemicals that will constantly want your brain to eat more. So you get addicted to this dopamine kick from the food. And that's what's happening with you right now. You're just searching for the dopamine, little moment where you can finally feel good in this entire matrix of disappointment and misery. A year ago, I weighed about 220 pounds. I wasn't perfect, but I was active, capable, still felt like a man in my body. Today, I weigh 297. 77 pounds in 1 year. Well, that's a huge gain. That's definitely something that is going to be a long project to get rid of. However, it's definitely possible, but first we got to focus on your emotions, because if you're constantly going to be seeking for dopamine triggers in this matrix of negative emotions, you're going to be turned into food, because pretty much that's the only source of happiness that you currently have. Now, the one way you can shut down this emotional roller coaster that you're going through is changing the state of your body. Because you can feel exhausted, sad, depressed when you're cold at the same time. That's why the cold plunges and cold therapy and cold showers are very beneficial. Because when you change the state of the body, you change the state of your mind. Same thing goes for working out. You can't really be sad if you're lifting a heavy resistance, or your body, your muscles have to resist heavy resistance. You can't really be sad at the same time. You have a new problem. You have heavy weight in your hands. So you work out. You go to cold showers. You stay physically busy. Every single time you feel depression kicking in, you gotta get moving. You gotta start moving around and change the state of the body, so you change the state of the mind. Sometimes I can't even believe I am right in that. I avoid mirrors now because I don't recognize the reflection. My face looks older. My eyes look tired. My stomach hangs where there used to be strength. My clothes don't fit, and when I buy bigger ones, I feel another piece of dignity disappear. Walking upstairs leave me breathless. My knees hurt. My back hurts as well. Even trying my shoes feels like a struggle some mornings. Well, you clearly have a lot of water retention going on, because you gain a bunch of weight suddenly. And when you put on so much weight suddenly, your body's not ready for it. With a really high water retention, you're going to start having the lower back pains. I used to have that after my shows when I did a bodybuilding competition. Then I couldn't control my diet after the competition. I would gain like 40 pounds in a month. I was just completely inexperienced kid, and I would have these tremendous lower back pains, exactly as you described. And so if I was trying to put on my shoes or my socks, I would be in a lot of pain. Just standing alone would be a trouble for me at that time. So this represents a lot of water retention, which leads me to a bigger problem than a lower back pain, is your heart. You got to be careful about putting on this much weight in such a short time, because your heart can only take so much. You can literally bring yourself a heart attack by exposing yourself to this much weight gain in such a short period of time. It's a different story if you gain this weight over 5 years versus 1 year. The body responds differently. So you're definitely running into some heart complications and risks here. I feel ashamed of my body, ashamed of my lack of control, ashamed that I left myself fall this far. Well, you don't really have to feel ashamed. I mean, your life just collapsed, so it's understandable. However, we just got to work on handling the emotions. And first of all, every single time you feel the negative emotion, you got to change the state of your body. Get busy, get physically active, feel some pain, start walking, listen to some podcasts, work on your spiritual health as well. Get busy with the working out, and also do some cold plunges, also heat like saunas. Just get busy in the wellness sphere, if that makes sense. So you really need to make sure that you're constantly delivering some type of a physical stress to the body, so you don't let these negative thoughts take over. Because then, like you said, you're going to feel ashamed. And then you're going to feel guilt and sad and depressed. You're going to cry and this and that. There will be a place for that, but we try to minimize that. And that will be by changing the state of your body. And eventually the emotions will fade. Every single emotion, every single pain at some point of your life will fade. The worst part is the binge eating. I tell myself I'll start tomorrow. I promise myself in the morning that today will be different. And then evenings come, the loneliness hits, and suddenly I'm standing in the kitchen eating whatever I can find, not even tasting it, just trying to fill a hole that food can never fill. Afterwards, I feel sick, guilty, and disgusted with myself, and yet the next day it happens again. So this is a good time for you to start studying Stoicism and Machiavelli's literature, because the Stoicism clearly says that a man has to be capable of walking alone in his life. This is a really good time for you to start understanding and learning about the new perspective of life, because the fact that your wife left, that has been her decision. You can't really influence that. And Stoicism teaches you that you can only influence your own brain, your own decisions, and your own path. Makes sense, your own mission. So that's what you really need to start studying. You know, materials from Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, Seneca, Zeno, all these guys have figured it out years ago, thousands of years ago. So you're not the first guy who's suffering from this. Men have been going through these struggles for the centuries before us, and there's clearly a proven system that works for a man's mental health. And first of all, a man needs to learn how to be able to walk on his mission by himself if necessary. Like, you don't really want to get emotionally attached to anything that you can't let go within 30 seconds, because then your life is going to shatter, exactly like, it happens to you right now. So go ahead, look up some materials about the Stoicism, and also some Machiavelli's literature back from 1500s. I used to be disciplined. I used to take pride in being reliable, strong, someone people could count on. Now I can't even count on myself. Temporarily, until you get back on track. I mean, you're losing a little bit of strength here, losing a little bit of your masculine power, but we're going to regain back. When I think back to how my life used to be, it feels like I'm remembering someone else. I had structure, I had energy, I had a role, husband, father, provider. I went to work, came home to a family, had plans for the future. Now my days blurred together. Work, home, eat, sleep, repeat. No excitement, no direction, just surviving. Now, that's a perfect time to find happiness within, okay? Until this point, you've been relying on the happiness from the external sources, family, children, your roles as a provider, as the father. But Stoicism clearly teaches you about finding the happiness within and be enough just by yourself. And that's why it is essential for a man to be able to walk in this life by himself if necessary, so he doesn't end up lost when other people decide to leave him. You see what I mean? So you got to really rewrite the entire script in your mind and look at the life from a different perspective and understand that loneliness is not a misery. Loneliness is not a punishment. Sometimes it's a beneficial thing when you have a proper mindset about it. I avoid social situations because I don't want anyone to see what I've become. Old friends invite me out and I make excuses. I don't want to answer questions. I don't want the looks. I don't want to feel like the before and after picture of a life gone wrong. It's easier to stay home even though the loneliness is eating me alive. Yeah, you got to cut that. You got to cut that. When you go to a social circle and if you have good friends, they're going to understand. You don't really need to hear a lot of supportive words or anything like that. You just got to be around people and you got to stop running away from social events just because you gained some weight and you don't want to look like before and after picture of a life gone wrong, as you said. That needs to go. Face it, literally this, shit happened. My wife left me, so what? I'm moving forward. I made a mistake, lost myself for a little bit for a year. I gained a little bit of weight and I'm going back on track. I saw the video from Daniel Magyar on YouTube and I'm going to start following the advices. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start changing the state of the body every single time the emotion kicks in. I'm going to use the cold plunges, saunas, workouts, fix the diet, and start feeling like yourself again. You're going to come out stronger out of this, but you need to stop running away from the consequences that your decisions have you brought to. I am scared that if I keep going like this, I will die early, that my heart will give out, or diabetes will take hold, or my body will simply stop working. Well, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, you have a good point here with the heart, because 77 pounds, and like you're describing, the water retention with the lower back, you can't really bend over. That's a legit scare, but you can still fix it. You can still fix it. In the beginning, I would order some natural diuretics on Amazon, like Expel, for example. Just start taking the extra diuretics so you can flush the water out. Start fasting. Intermittent fasting will help you flush even more water out of your system, and especially stop putting processed foods in your system that will retain all of that water. Like you can drop, 12 pounds within like first 12 days easily. And that's going to deliver already some relief onto your body. You're going to feel a little lighter, a little bit better. Also, you're risking the diabetes. Of course, when you're putting this much weight on, you are destroying the metabolism because you're just over-consuming the energy, and that little pancreas in your body is just pumping out so much insulin that the beta cells in the pancreas eventually will get tired. They will start dying. They won't be able to keep up with the amount of calories that you're consuming. They won't be able to keep up with the production of insulin that you need to stabilize your blood glucose. So you really got to watch that. You do have legit scares, but we can still fix it. Scared that one day my kids will grow up remembering their father as the man who was always tired, always struggling, who couldn't play with him, who couldn't be there the way he should have been. I am terrified that I will never become the father they deserve. Well, stop being terrified and start, acting a little bit stronger. When you feel the emotion, you change the state of the body, and then you organize your own chaos within. That's another beautiful part of the masculine energy. You are capable of organizing chaos within. You don't really need other people to help you organize chaos, because then you're being, addicted. I would say then you're relying on support of others. And a true Stoic man can organize his own chaos. So you really got to start studying the Stoicism as the literature so you understand how to organize your own chaos within. That fear is what finally pushed me to write this email. Because despite everything, there is still a small spark inside me that refuses to die. That's called self-preservation. A voice that says, this can't be the end. You can't let this be your true story. I don't feel strong right now. I don't feel confident, but somewhere under the weight, the shame and the exhaustion, I still want to live. I still want to fight. I still want to change. Beautiful. And I'm glad that you mentioned fight, because that was my next thing that I wanted to bring up. Every single man needs some physical confrontation in his life. And, look at the evolution. Men used to fight all the time. They used to hunt, physically kill. Now, in today's world, you don't have to do it. But man's psyche really needs to be capable of terror. You can't be afraid of physical altercations with other men. So you can practice that at the MMA gyms, boxing gyms, Muay Thai gyms, and etc. Or you can join Jiu-Jitsu gym. This is going to help you stop being afraid of the physical confrontations, and also is going to put your mind back to peace, because masculine energy really becomes masculine when you're capable of harming others, but also you have enough respect for others where you know that there's another man stronger than you. So when you step into the ring with a stronger man than you, you're afraid to death because you don't know how to fight and you're going to get beat up. Good. You really need to get beat up, because that's going to introduce you to the art of humbleness. And then eventually, as you become better, you're going to step into the ring with someone who is less good than you, who is weaker than you, and you're going to beat them up. And that's going to introduce you to the art of your own power. And that's how you find this beautiful balance between the humbleness and the power, and you're going to be able to balance out your psyche as a man very efficiently. So you really need to start fighting as well. And in this state of your mind where a woman left you for another man, you're going to get a lot of anger out of yourself. Punching into the bags, you need impact, you need to feel the punch just to get the anger out of your system. You're going to feel relief every single time when you go to work out. Not every boxing session, not like the single boxing session is not going to fix all of your problems, but it's like you're going there, workout by workout by workout, you're going to feel like 0.1% better every single time as you get this anger out of your system until you do this long enough where 100% of your pain is gone. So physical conflict, physical fight, very beneficial for your brain and for your mental health at this point. Just join local martial arts gym. I want back my life. There you go. I want to feel strength in my body again. I want to breathe without struggling. I want to look in the mirror and not feel disgust. I want discipline, structure, and pride again. I want to respect myself. Exactly. And we want your wife look at you 2 years after the divorce and tell herself that divorcing you was the biggest mistake she's ever made. Because that's really the biggest comeback that you can have when somebody dumps you. You come back stronger, richer, in better shape, looking sharper, nicer clothes, you smell good, other women want you, you got pre-selection, etc. So that's the best comeback. That's our goal, what we want to do with you. We want to get you stronger, better looking, and just everything better with you, okay? So I'm good that you're getting into this mindset here because, you know, in the beginning you seem kind of lost, but right now we see the spark of power that is still within. Most of all, I want to be a man my children can look up to. I know this won't be easy. I know there is no magic solution. I am not looking for a miracle. Like I said, daily, if you're going to be practicing, fixing your nutrition, you're going to start fasting, doing some carnivore diet. You know, if you need help, sign up for my program on dmprotrainer.com. And, you know, you need a proper nutrition. Calorie cycling method is what I do, combined with the intermittent fasting. And then you need definitely martial arts in your life. Then you need cardio. You need to be walking. Okay, and you're going to get a lot of cardio from the martial arts as well. And then you need to change the state of the body by extreme heat and extreme cold. This is how you're going to keep the brain at somewhat peace. It's not going to be, you're not going to feel 100% better as you're going to start doing that, but like 0.1%. And in the long run, it's going to feel like a bad mushroom trip that you can't get out of. It's like a bad psychedelic trip. You can't even believe what happens to your life. But as the time passes, in your case, probably in about 2 years, you're going to be completely fit. You just got to do this whether you feel like it or you don't. Then the alternative is to get fatter and die from a heart attack or diabetes or something that's going to happen to your body. Like right now in your 290s, you're going to be 350 if you don't stop this. Make sense? So it's either becoming better or just completely destroying yourself. And you really need to choose the right path, which is becoming better. That's why I'm reaching out to you. Not because I think you can fix me with a few words, but because I need someone outside my own head, someone who won't let me hide. Someone who will tell me the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Someone who can help me build habits, structure, and a plan when my mind is too chaotic to do it alone. This email is humiliating to write. It forces me to admit how far I've fallen. But pretending I'm okay has gotten me nowhere. I don't want to be the man who keeps saying one day until there are no days left. I want this to be the moment where things change. Well, it really sounds like you're in a good spot to start the transformation. You needed to go through your whiskey phase and all the binge eating phase and alcohol and all this. But it really sounds like you got tired of it. You've seen how far the destruction has came. So this is a pretty good mental state to start from. 6 months ago, if I talked to you, no, it wouldn't be a good time. You would still have to destroy yourself a little bit more, cause yourself more pain, more harm, until you by yourself come to a conclusion that this is enough. Because every single man will come to a point where they say, okay, that's enough. Yeah, they're gone. And so what? I'm not going to die now. Like, shit happened, she left, the kids are gone, this is a new reality. You will start adapting. It takes about 9 months until you get used to better or worse. Which means that if I put you into the villa in Hollywood, for the first 9 months, you would be blown away. Then you would get used to it. It's just another house. If I put you into a hut somewhere on the island where it's dirt and there's nothing on the floor, you're sleeping on the wooden floor and there's cockroaches running around, for the first 9 months, you would be disgusted, uncomfortable, bruised up. And after 9 months, if you saw a cockroach as you're sleeping, you would just slap it and that's it. No big deal. It's just an everyday life. Right? So it takes about 9 months for a person to adapt to the new environment. You've been in the new environment for you without a family, without a wife, and without the kids for 12 months now. So the time frame is pretty synchronized here. I want to look back a year from now and say, that was the day I decided to fight for my life. So I'm asking you honestly, can you help me? Of course. Yeah, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, but you set a time frame for you a year from now, which is pretty reasonable because a year from now we can get you down 77 pounds. That's not a problem at all. If you're gonna stick to the routine, you're gonna follow everything like you're supposed to, 77 pounds is good, even when we take some mistakes and errors into consideration. So that was today's email. If you guys are looking for help, shoot me your email on dmcoaching@gmail.sk, and I'm gonna read these emails regularly now on YouTube. I'm gonna give you my 2 cents on your situation and see how we can fix you, because shit happens in life. We have better and worse times. We have people come into our lives, leave in our lives, and we're gonna be emotionally shaken, and we wanna really build the emotional resilience, be strong, be leaders as we're supposed to by God-given masculine energy, and be in a good shape. And you really need to be in a good shape, in a good physical shape, to be able to display the power that you've been given by the God, and to feel powerful as well. So that's enough for today's email, and I'm gonna see you in the next live stream.